Hey guys, what's up? It's Megan. Welcome back to my channel. Doing another drive to go visit my family today, so I figured I would do another vlog. It's just easy. I wish my car mount worked, but I have a really difficult time with it. I think it's because my phone is super heavy. I don't know if it's like an iPhone. I think it's an iPhone 8, but for whatever reason, it's like so heavy that it just makes the car mount fall. So I'm just over it. I have been dealing with that for a long time, and I just like don't care anymore. So this is easy. I'm actually doing this video because I had one of my followers reach out to me and asked me to make a video about me self-reflecting on my bipolar diagnosis and kind of talking about my diagnosis and looking back on my life now that I know I have bipolar. Trying to see like where everything stemmed from. And I'm definitely more than happy to talk about this because I'm talking about my past. It's hard because like I don't want to throw family members like under the bus or anything like that, but I'll just try to keep it as like vague as possible while also like being honest and speaking my truth. So before I get into that, it's like bittersweet. Yesterday I made a post on my Mind Bar Instagram page, which I started back in the fall of 2019. And I originally started it to help me be accountable with my sobriety, and also to find other people on Instagram that might share a bipolar diagnosis or have a mental illness, and just to make those connections, because right after I got diagnosed in 2017, my manic episode was so severe and I crashed hard after that episode. I mean, I don't know, I just believe through my experience, like the more severe your manic episode is, like the worse the crash is afterwards. And my crash after that first episode, when I finally got diagnosed correctly, was so bad. And I remember like laying in bed so depressed. Like, I'll never forget it. It was like September of 2017. It was like 85 degrees outside, beautiful, but I was in this like hole, in this suicidal depression of just like hating myself after my manic episode and feeling so guilty and so embarrassed. And like, I don't know if people know this about like a manic episode, but basically after a manic episode, at least in my experience, it's like you come down from the manic episode and like slowly you start realizing like what happened and what you did and how you acted. Like in the moment of a manic episode, like nothing matters. Like you're so manic that you just don't give a shit about anything. You don't care about your actions. You don't care about how it affects people. You really just like don't give a shit. But after manic episodes, for me, that's when things kind of fall into place and register, and that's when I start feeling immense guilt and shame and self-hatred, and just I didn't know how to get out of the hole I was in. And so anyways, so like I said, it was September 2017. I remember it was a beautiful day outside. It was a couple of months post manic episode, and my hair was like literally falling out. It was like, I'll never forget, my hair is naturally really curly, and so much of it had fallen out that it felt like top ramen noodles, like soggy noodle hair that was just like falling out. I was laying in bed, I was looking on Instagram, and I was just searching the bipolar disorder hashtag, like searching for anyone on Instagram that might have bipolar. Like I was looking at people's like screen name for, you know, their Instagram page, and like anyone that had bipolar like in their friend and send them a DM and just be like, hey, like, my name's Megan, I just got diagnosed with bipolar. I don't know anybody that has bipolar. I'm taking medications I'm scared of taking. I don't want to accept this diagnosis. I don't want to accept that I have to take medication. Like, this sucks. Like, I feel alone. Like, and I would ask the people, like, what medications do you take if you're comfortable with me asking? I really need, like, people to relate to. And, like, I had some people that I started chatting with, maybe like just a couple, and I was able to chat with them about their experience, and it made me feel a little bit better. But I still felt like really, like, there's only like 3 people on all of Instagram that has bipolar, and like, I don't know, I searched on YouTube bipolar, and like nothing really came up. And I wanted a community, like I wanted people to talk about having bipolar with, and so that's a huge reason why I created this YouTube channel, and then also my Mind Bar Instagram page, because I wanted to, you know, put my story out there, put blog posts out there about things I've gone through, and it was just like incredible. I've had so many people DM me and say like how much my page has helped them. And also another really cool thing is I've had people who are friends and family of someone that they believe has bipolar, and those people reaching out to me, asking me questions about me and my husband and how me and my husband handled this or handled that. And it was just like really special, and I really enjoyed it. But yesterday I made a post that was basically saying that I'm not gonna do the page anymore, and this is something I've been tossing around in my head for a while. It used to not be a chore to come up with content. It came, you know, to me naturally, but basically ever since like the middle of my pregnancy, maybe like September of 2020, I just felt kind of over it, I guess, in a sense, because I don't know, the only way I can explain it is that I felt like for a while digging up my past and talking about all the shit I've been through, all the trauma, was like beneficial to me, but then something took a turn where digging up my past and talking about my past started to make me feel icky, and started to make me feel like it's not making me feel good or like helping me. And like, obviously, like, I don't get paid to manage an Instagram account. I don't get paid to do these YouTube videos. Like, I'm doing it honestly from a place of just wanting to be the person that like I needed when I was sick, and needed like a friend that like understood me. Like, I want people out there that have bipolar disorder to like see me as a friend through these videos that people can relate to. And I just know how badly I needed that when I was going through everything. I just really needed a friend that understood what I was going through. And so I strive to be that person for all of you out there that watch my videos and sharing my story. And also the other reason besides helping people is that owning my truth and talking about these things like helped me get out of the shame and guilt and embarrassment. I was really stuck in that place for a long time, but for me, like, it doesn't work for everyone. Like, some people are just way more private, which is totally fine. And for me, it just really helped me to like talk about everything and be open about everything, because like my episodes were so embarrassing. Like, so many people know and knew that like I have bipolar because of social media and stuff, the outlandish things I would post and the way that I was acting. So I felt like it wasn't really a secret. And so I kind of felt like I took my power back by owning it and being like, yeah, like, this is the truth. Like, this is what I did. This is how I acted. and by owning it and like not being afraid to just like talk about it, like really helped me rid myself of the guilt, shame, and embarrassment, and also just forming connections has just really been a beautiful thing. But yeah, about midway through my pregnancy, I just started feeling like it's not really helping me to like dig up my past, and especially since after I've had Remy, I have been struggling for like content. Basically, I take pictures and like live my life, and I have my personal main Instagram page where all the people that follow me are people that like actually know me in real life, or live in Washington or whatnot. But I would take pictures of my life and I would make a post on my personal page, because that's basically the connection I have with people that I know. And then I would like look at those same pictures and try to like post a different one of the same day on my mind bar, and then come up with something to talk about. And it was just like, I don't know, it's just been weighing on me for a long time, and I don't know why yesterday was the day, but it was just like I was taking a shower and I was like, I just need to be done with this. Like, it's exhausting, like going in between like Instagrams and stuff. Managing 2 different accounts is like not the easiest. So I'm glad that like I've put that Instagram to bed. I'm gonna leave it up and active because I still want people to be able to use my posts and my page as a source of hope. So I'm definitely not gonna like deactivate the account and take it down. I just kind of logged out of it and made like an announcement saying that I'm not gonna be posting, and who knows, maybe in a year I want to get back on there and do it again. But for now, it doesn't align with my journey and where I'm at and where I'm going. And I'm really proud of myself that I recognize that, and that I'm like taking action and not being a people pleaser and not just doing what I think people want me to do. But so anyways, that happened yesterday, so I've been dealing with that, and it actually is a relief. And today my daughter and I are going to meet up with my mom. Her and my dad are in town on this side of the mountains, still like 45 minutes away from where I live, but I'm looking forward to seeing my mom and spending time with her. I think we're gonna get sushi, which I'm pumped about. I didn't get to eat sushi like during my pregnancy because obviously it's not something that's recommended that you eat when you're pregnant, but gosh, I missed it. I love sushi so much. But anyways, back to that question about my bipolar diagnosis and looking back on my life. And so I got diagnosed with bipolar when I was 30, which is quite a bit later than typical, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know anyone else. I don't know what people's stories are, but 30 felt like pretty late. Like, how didn't I catch this sooner? And I've talked about in videos that once I got diagnosed and learned about bipolar disorder, it was like, okay, like this makes so much sense. Like, I've been dealing with this for a very long time. And like, again, I want to reiterate, like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, I have no education in the mental health field. I'm just, everything I say and talk about is like directly through my experience. So I don't want anyone out there to think that this is some sort of like educational video or that I have a degree in psychology or anything like that, because I don't. But for me personally, I believe that people that have bipolar disorder, it's not just something that you're born with. And again, maybe doctors would like disagree with that, but I believe that bipolar is a combination of things. I think that part of bipolar comes from you being born and comes from like genetics. And people on my mom and dad's side of the family, there's relatives that have bipolar disorder, and I never knew that. Those are things that I feel like my parents' generation and older, it's things that like they didn't really talk about, and that's why there was a stigma, and still is a stigma, is because, you know, older generations just have kept it hush hush and like don't want to talk about it. But the reality of the situation is, both on my mom and dad's side, there's relatives that have bipolar, which I learned after the fact. So reflecting, knowing that, okay, that makes sense. And the other part of bipolar disorder that I think people that have it, where it comes from, is like not only genetics, but like environmental. Again, I don't want to throw my family under the bus or anything like that, but I will say, as a young child, there was a lot of yelling and screaming and arguing within my family growing up. There was alcoholism in my family growing up. There was, I witnessed a lot of things as a very young child that are very inappropriate, that like children should not have to witness. And like, I think because of the yelling and the screaming that happened within my family and the arguing, like the loud sounds when like my brain was developing as like a baby, toddler, kindergartner, you know, stuff like that, I believe that my brain was forming during those years, and the yelling, screaming, and arguing, I think it rewired my brain. You know, I always wonder, like, if I grew up in like a calm environment, a more loving, compassionate, understanding environment where, you know, we talk through the issues, we don't yell and scream, I have to wonder if, you know, I'd be in the position that I'm in now. It's something that I'm very aware of, you know, the yelling and screaming and just outbursts, I guess. Like, it's something that is a learned behavior for me. It's something that I was around my whole life. And so I noticed, like, becoming an adult, like, I definitely have struggled with outbursts and stuff like that, but now that I have a daughter and I'm so sensitive to her little brain developing and forming, I'm very aware to not yell or scream or have an outburst, especially in front of her, because A, I don't think it's appropriate, and B, I don't think it's safe, because she is a baby, she's developing and growing, her brain is, you know, going to be forming for years to come, and I don't want to be any part of contributing to her brain rewiring itself in an unhealthy way. You know, I believe that I want to kind of break these generational curses that are passed down from generation to generation. Like, I don't want to pass the yelling and screaming and arguing down to her. You know, I want to break it, stop it here. And, you know, part of that is I'm human, I'm going to make mistakes, and I have no problem with owning my shit and apologizing when necessary. And so, like, if I do slip up, which I know I will over the years as she's growing up, you know, I'm going to apologize to her and tell her that, like, you know, I don't mean to act that way, and that it's wrong to act that way, and that I'm sorry for acting that way, and that I'm going to do better. You know, that's my goal moving forward. But I mean, I don't even want to get to that place. I don't want to get to a place where, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, the yelling and the screaming when a child is young, I mean, it's abuse. Like, I hate to say it because, again, I don't want to throw family members under the bus, and I'm not going to talk about anyone specific, but I mean, I believe that it's abuse, and failure to get your child out of that situation is neglect, which is also abuse. So back to the question about reflecting on my life and me having bipolar, I believe believe part of me having bipolar is my genetics and my brain chemistry and a chemical imbalance in my brain, and the other part of that is environmental, and maybe partially that chemical imbalance was created because when my brain was forming, I wasn't in a healthy, stable, loving, compassionate environment. And like when I have had outbursts and stuff in the past, it's like it just like happens. Like it's just like an involuntary like reaction to like life. Like if I'm triggered, like it's just like blah, like my brain doesn't like move fast enough and I get agitated, and then it's just like, you know, I outburst. And I really, really try hard to work on this. I'm not like happy about that. I'm not proud of it. And it's really hard to like unlearn things that have been going on like your whole life. Like I'm gonna be 35 this year, and I'm having to unlearn everything. Unlearn my childhood, unlearn and then reteach myself stuff. But I guess looking back on my life and reflecting on me having bipolar disorder, I specifically remember like being 19 or 20 in college, and I remember that there was this guy that I really liked, and there was like two guys that I actually really liked, and at the time, like I had never had a boyfriend or anything like that, and so I felt kind of like torn between liking these two different guys. And one of them just kind of like basically cut me off and said he didn't want to talk to me anymore, and it really like upset me. So I started seeing a counselor, and or maybe it was a psychiatrist, but that person prescribed me SSRI antidepressants, and those are the same types of meds that at 30, fast forward 10 years, that made me go extremely manic and off the rails. But I remember being 19, 20, 21, taking those SSRI antidepressants and mixing them with alcohol often. And then, you know, around 2021, I actually did have a boyfriend. And, you know, during that time, I was still drinking really heavily because, you know, I'm that age. I'm just around 21 where, you know, you're legal to drink. And, yeah, there was just times in my early 20s when I had that first boyfriend where we would be drinking. I was mixing drinking with antidepressants, and there was some times where I'd wake up the next day and he would be like, do you remember what you did and like what you said and like how you acted? And I would have like no recollection. Like I would be completely blacked out, but obviously be super embarrassed and ashamed that like I reached a level of like being so blacked out that I didn't have any control of my actions or reactions. Like it was just completely a blur. Like I didn't remember anything. And so, you know, I think part of the mania, at least for me, in times past when I've been manic, it really like fuels my drinking. But I feel like a lot of the problem with my drinking in the past was I was in so much pain. And like something I've noticed is people really don't have a lot of patience or compassion for addicts or people with mental illness or addicts living with mental illness. And it's just like I wish there was more compassion, because people that are addicts, like they're in pain, they're hurting so bad that they are abusing substances to like escape reality, because the reality of their situation is so painful that they can't handle it. So they want to mentally check out, so they start abusing substances, and then their body becomes dependent on it, and then it goes from there. And I understand for family members and friends of someone that has an addiction that is, you know, so hard to watch someone that you love like go down a bad path. But like there's a lot of hatred and a lot of judgment and a lot of resentment from the family members and friends of an addict. And although I understand that, I really think there needs to be more compassion, and the family and friends looking at it and not taking it so personally against them, because it's actually really not. but looking at it as like, you know, why is this person in pain? Why is this person's life so hurtful and painful that they're escaping reality? And a lot of times from the family and friends, it's like, you know, the parents are like, you know, why is this person like addicted to heroin? Like, why is this person addicted to alcohol? And they don't look at themselves in the mirror and be like, you know, what did I act like as a parent when this person that's an addict was a child? And what did I put them through? What did they see? You know, like, there's not really any accountability, and that kind of like bugs me, because it's just like, I've had friends in my past who, when I've struggled with drinking and like going out and I would just get blacked out drunk and act obnoxious and annoying, you know, friends of mine in the past would, I found out later, like talk shit about me, never like come to me and be like, you know, Megan, I love you, like I'm concerned about you, like, you know, why do you drink so much when we go out? You know, it was never that. Like, I feel like having that conversation with people is like a beautiful thing, to express yourself, show that you care, instead of talking shit about somebody behind their back. I mean, that's just me, but, you know, I wish people that were friends that, you know, talk shit about me and my drinking, I wish they could have like dug deeper and like looked at me and been like, wow, like Megan must be in a lot of like pain within herself. And I was for so many years, and I'm so like, again, I never thought I would ever see the day that I would say that I'm grateful for having bipolar and having, you know, my episodes and getting to where I am today, because like, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be the mom I am today. I wouldn't have Remy. Everything, you know, worked out for a reason, and unfortunately, but fortunately, you know, I realized that I was involved with people that, you know, didn't truly care about me and my heart and my life and why I am the way I am. It was just like, oh, she's acting annoying, bye, like dismissive. And so, you know, that sucks. But again, also reflecting back, something, again, that I don't think people realize about people that have bipolar. And again, I'm not a doctor. This is just an observation of someone living with bipolar disorder, what I see. A lot of people who have bipolar disorder are really successful and really creative and really intelligent and really driven. I mean, for me, I started my own business when I was 24, and it's almost like I channeled my mania to be like successful. Like, I really believe that my birth control from the time I was 20 till when my husband and I started trying to get pregnant when I was 27, I believe, like, obviously I had bipolar that whole time, but I think my birth control managed it to the point where it balanced my hormones, and like I was able to still live my life. But like, I'll never forget when I stopped taking my birth control a year after our wedding. That's when it was just like, I instantly felt depressed, like that week, like almost like suicidally depressed, like, you know, right away. And I ignored those feelings. And I think there's also just such like a shame in having bipolar disorder. And, you know, I watch shows like Dateline and 2020 and stuff like that, and a lot of times in those shows, like, they talk about someone and they're like, oh, like, she had bipolar, and it's not exactly like in the kindest light. So I think that having bipolar disorder, it's just like, people are like, ugh, she has bipolar, ugh, she's like crazy. You know, so no wonder people don't want to get help or admit that they have the illness or take their meds, because like part of taking your meds and accepting that you have the illness is like, you know, the key to being successful and healthy. But it's like, people don't feel, a lot of people that have bipolar are in denial about taking meds, but that's because having bipolar disorder is so shameful. Like, why is it shameful? Like, you know, if people could get past thinking bipolar is shameful, then maybe they would take their meds. Maybe they would stay on their meds, and maybe they would live a happy, healthy, productive life. So again, that's why I talk about what I talk about is, you know, I take meds. I'm not ashamed of it. It's like my vitamins to help my brain. That's the way I look at it. I used to think I could outsmart my mental illness by just knowing I have it. I can outsmart it. I can get by without taking medications. But the truth of the matter is my medications make me feel so much better than I felt not on them. I had a really hard time regulating my moods and everything like that before I got diagnosed and before I got put on the correct like bipolar meds. And another thing I want to make clear is like there's a huge difference between bipolar medication and like just depression medication. You know, like a lot of people out there, you know, would go on like an SSRI, which is an anxiety and depression medication, but which is a mental illness, having anxiety and depression. Like, don't get me wrong, but that same medication that treats anxiety and depression is not what someone that has bipolar should be taking. Those medications will make mania worse. So, again, it's just like so scary if people out there get misdiagnosed, like, and it happens all the time. Clearly, when I was 20, when I originally went in to see that psychiatrist after it didn't work out with me and that guy that I went to college with, you know, he diagnosed me with anxiety and depression and put me on an SSRI. So I was misdiagnosed from a very, very young age. And I don't know, I wish I could like shake psychiatrists and psych nurse practitioners and be like, hello, like, do a better fucking consultation. Like, don't just like assume people have anxiety and depression, because if like you fuck that up, then you're fucking them up and fucking up their lives. And that's why I had so much resentment against that first person I saw in my suicidal depression. She diagnosed me with depression and put me on the wrong meds. And it's just like, I don't know, in my personal opinion, and again, I'm not a doctor, I believe that mood stabilizers, at least the one I'm taking, it's not like a harsh medication. And it's also considered an antidepressant. I don't understand why psychiatrists and psych nurses are so quick to prescribe SSRI antidepressants, but they are not quick to prescribe mood stabilizers, which in my opinion, a mood stabilizer is much less harsh than an antidepressant. And I wish that psychiatrists and psych nurses, when someone comes to see them for depression and anxiety, I think there needs to be more psychiatrists and psych nurses that ask that patient, so what's your norm? What's your baseline? You know, if someone would have asked me that, I would have been like, oh, well, like, I have my own business and I'm successful and I do CrossFit 6 days a week and I work like 13 hours a day and I talk really fast. My mind races. I have a hard time sleeping. Like, I would have said all of these things and it would have been more clear that I had bipolar, but nobody ever asked me that. Nobody ever asked my baseline or like, you know, my childhood or what I've been through. It's just like, oh, you have anxiety or depression, write up a script really quick, here, take this. And it's just like, there's a stigma against medication too, of like, people thinking medication equals weakness, and also not wanting to take medication because it's fucking scary, because they've either themselves been prescribed a medication that made them go off the deep end, or they've watched that happen to a family or a friend or acquaintance, and so they're like, hell no, I'm not taking meds. Because again, if you get prescribed the wrong meds, it can really fuck you and fuck your life. And like, I'm living proof of that happening. Like, that first psych nurse fucked me by prescribing me Lexapro when I have bipolar disorder. I mean, if anyone out there is like curious about this, go ahead and type in Google Lexapro and bipolar disorder. Is it a good idea for someone with bipolar disorder to take Lexapro? Go ahead and look that up and see what pops up. Yeah, it's not good. So, anyways, circling back to the question, I can definitely reflect on my life and understand very clearly why I have bipolar, when my symptoms started, like everything makes sense, which is a relief, because for so long, first of all, I thought the way my brain worked and the way I thought and the way I acted, I thought it was all normal. I didn't understand that, you know, there's people out there that grow up in a loving environment where there's not like yelling and screaming. I thought everyone's parents yelled. I thought everyone's family members yelled and screamed and acted that way. You know, I was never taught to learn how to regulate my emotions, ever, or even talk about my emotions, which is something I want to change with Remy. I want her to talk to me about her emotions. I want her to tell me how she's feeling, and I want to help her. I really do. And I know that like that can make such a difference. Like, I really want to do everything in my power to help Remy learn how to regulate her emotions so that she can be successful as an adult. Again, I think my generation and my parents' generation, and more like grandparents' generation, talking about your feelings or talking about your emotions or your thoughts, it's like not really like looked at as a good thing. Like, it seems like it's more like frowned upon, especially for guys, but for girls too. Anyways, I'm getting to the point where I'm rambling, but I hope this video helps that person that asked me that question. And I know these videos are weird because it's kind of like you're staring at the steering wheel, but you know, it's easy for me to just make a video really quick while I'm driving. So anyways, if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribed and let me know what you think of my videos. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in my next video.